welcome back to our Diablo 2 like game series here. This is part two, and as you can see, I created a main menu for mine, and I'm calling my game Ember Throne, and it's very Diablo-esque with the fire and stuff. And I'm calling it Ember Throne because I'm going to have it be about a volcano. Call it like Mount Ember or something, and like there'll be a prophecy that every 1,000 years or something, deep in the halls of Mount Ember, the throne gets a new ruler or king, and they rain fiery destruction down in the lands around it, and your hero has to travel to the volcano to defeat the the king or whatever. And that's gonna be the basis of mine, and that's why I called it Ember Throne. So in this one, we're gonna be making the main menu here, and we're also gonna get the characters moving. And as you can see, I've added new characters here. I've replaced my placeholders with actual characters. I grabbed all these guys from Mixamo. You gotta love Mixamo. And yeah, so our Dark Knight has turned into Demon Knight. I gave him demon wings, and he's got like a glowing red sword there. Our thief is this chick here, and she's going to use like stealth and traps and stuff, I think. And then this is our sorceress. I really like her. Like in Diablo 2, when you're selecting a character, they kind of show off their shit like this when they're highlighted. And then this guy is the rogue. Rico Suave there, who just kind of rolls back in his hair. Then we got an elven archer, and I've kind of given her a green tint. And then we got, instead of a white knight, I changed him to a holy knight, and he's got like angel wings instead of the demon wings. So, and they were all lined up straight, as you can see and you can kind of see Mount Ember in the back there, and yeah, so I kind of put them in a circular position here, and yeah, so in this one we're going to create the main menu you just saw. Well, not the whole thing. I'll show you how to make, put a button in and have it load a new level. You put in whatever you want for your graphics and stuff. And then, if you're going to follow along, then maybe go grab some models for your characters and replace those placeholders we had in part one. And yeah, so the main menu we're going to do in this one, and movement, get them moving around. Okay, so I've already updated two of these to move, and I'll update the rest off camera, but it's enough for you to see what you need to do. And I've already put the code on the Demon Knight and the Sorceress. So let's pick one of them. Say, and now we load that level, that start level I showed you in the first one. And instead of that flat gray plane, I've added a terrain and some textures. And as you can see, the Demon Knight has loaded in. And if I click somewhere, it'll move to that position and animate as he's going. And then change back to idle when he stops. All right. And let's just show you that one more time with the Sorceress so you can see that, it works with every character like we did in the last one. And now we got a Sorceress instead. Okay, so let's get going on this here. So right now we're at the main menu level. All right, and I'm just going to double click on the canvas here. So obviously you want to create a new level for what your menu is going to be. All right. And then you put in whatever kind of stuff you want in the background. Like I have my Emberthone graphic here, and I've got some effects for the fire and stuff. But really, all you need for this tutorial for you is going to be the buttons. If you don't have a canvas, well, obviously, if you got to create a new level, you don't have a canvas, so you could just go to UI and then to Button Text Mesh Pro and click that, and it'll create a canvas for you, and then it'll create a button. Okay. And this button right here is the new game button. We're not going to worry about the load game or the options and the exit yet, just a new game so that we can load the selection level that we created in the last one. All right. So once you have your button, then over in the inspector, if you scroll down to the on click part, it's going to need a function from an object. Okay. And I put the code on the canvas. So that would be the main menu code script here. And let's just open that up and I'll show you. All right. So we don't need the start or the update. Get rid of those. So in main menu right now, we've just created one function, a public void called load new game, which is going to load the selection screen for you to select your player. And we're gonna using up top using Unity Engine Scene Management. And then in this function, all it does is take scene manager dot load scene and then the name of your scene. For me, it's car select, character select, you know. So that's all that is. Let's save that because I changed it. Okay. And then on the button, yeah, anytime Unity. Okay, on the button, since I put the code on the canvas, I simply clicked and dragged the canvas onto here. Okay. And then I went to where it says no function and I scrolled down to the code, the script I made, main menu. And then when you scroll down to that, you'll get a list of the functions you made inside that. And we'll select load new game. Okay. And that's all that is. So that now when we play it, it will load the character selection screen. Okay. And then I like the Demon Knight here. Then the movement, like this, in the camera, we'll get into right now. So let's open that scene up. That's the start level scene. And so in this scene, I created an empty game object and I named it nav. And then on that object, I added a new component and I added the nav mesh surface. Now, if you're using an older version of Unity, this could be different. You might not need this. It might just be in the inspector, but I'm using Unity 6. So if you want to follow along with this, I would suggest upgrading your Unity. But if you want to stay with your older version that you're using and you're using an older version, just look out if you don't know how to add a nav mesh, look up Google how to add a nav mesh or YouTube and for your version, and it's real easy. So anyway, I added the nav empty game object. I gave it the nav mesh surface, okay, and then I baked it. And if you want to see it, you click the gizmos up here, and you can see the blue. That's the nav mesh. All right. So now on our characters for our players, like the Dark Knight here, I gave him a script, excuse me, called click to move, and that's going to be the movement script. And I gave him a nav mesh agent. Now, the only things I changed about this nav mesh agent are the speed and angular speed, because the speed, obviously, I wanted to kind of match the animation they're using, so I set it to 6. And the angular speed, I set way up. I think the default is like 120, but they turn weird like that if it's that low. So I set it to 2000, and that gives you the turning you're seeing when we play it. Okay. So on your character that you load in, and all I did for these, it's the same as the ones in the select screen, except I took off their code. I renamed them with a P so that they're the player. And then right here, like you saw in the last one, we had the load player empty game object I call load player. Once I created these guys, I just dragged them in to their respective slots. And again, that's in the first part, so go check that out. Okay. But yeah, once you have your people, you drag them in there, and it will load up. This will load up the character you picked from its code, but that's in the first part. So check that one out if you haven't. All right. No, where was I? The nav and oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The movement code. Okay, for say like the Dark Knight, he's got the nav mesh agent, those settings, and now I'll click the move script. Okay, and if we open that up, you're going to see it's very short. This is all it is to controlling his movement around in his animations, which is really cool. It's like what, under 30 lines of code right now. Of course, it's going to, get bigger as we add more functionality and fighting and things like that. But for now, click to move. Okay. We get a private nav mesh agent, and I called it agent. Private animator called anim. In the start method, I get the agent and the anim components, and I declare them there. And then in the update, we check to see if the left mouse button is pressed. If input get mouse button down, 0, the left mouse button, then we create a new ray called ray and equal it to camera.main dot screen point to ray. Okay, and then the input mouse position. And that sends a ray out from the camera down to where our mouse clicked on the ground, and it sets this hit point. So if raycast out hit, raycast hit, agent dot set destination hit point, and hit point is what the ray hit on the ground. Okay. Then we create for the animations, we create a float called speed, and I set it equal to the agent's dot velocity dot magnitude. Okay, and then we set a float in the animator for this character, anim.setFloat speed with a capital S to the speed float we just created here. Okay, and that's going to handle our transitions from idle to running. And I'll show you that in a second. And then right after that, we set the camera to always keep up with the player, but at the offset that you see. It's above and behind. So we set the camera.main.transform.position equal to a new vector 3, and we set it to the player's x plus 4, the player's y plus 10, and the player's z minus 4. And that's the position of the camera you saw. Okay. And now as far as the speed float inside the animator, all right, if I highlight the Dark Knight here and I go to the animator tab, you're going to see this plus sign. I clicked on that and I added a new float. And I called it speed with a capital S like it is in the code. Okay. And then, there we go. And then I added in two of the animations that came with this, what I got for this character. One idle and one run. And then I clicked and made a transition from each. Okay. And if I click on that transition, I took out the has exit time because we don't want it to wait till it's done animating. We just want to switch. All right. And then for the conditions, since I made this float called speed, I clicked the plus button and it brought up speed. And then I said if the speed is greater than 0.1, then go to the run animation and play that. And on this transition, it's the opposite. The speed is less than 0.1. So we've made it to our destination and stopped. Then it goes back to idle. Okay. So that is the animator. All right. And if we just click play now, we should probably get the sorceress because that's who we selected last. And oh no, I guess we selected him last. So yeah, and that's the he's moving on the nav mesh. Click and he'll move there. He changes his animations depending on whether his speed is greater than or less than 0.1. Okay, so yeah, that was actually a quick and easy one and not too bad. Excuse me again. Now, one thing I want to discuss here is we might change over because right now we're using player prefs for saving things like who you picked as a character and stuff. But one of the main things is I would like to have multiple save slots so you can have different characters and go back and forth between them if you want, like in Diablo 2. And I'm not sure how I want to do that yet, but it's something I want to do early on so it's done. So um, in the next tutorial or the one after, we're going to work on setting up some multiple save slots. I just don't know how I want to do it yet. And I don't want to use player prefs. So, maybe JSON or something, that we can encrypt and make less readable off the bat. But yeah, so like I promised in the last one, we got the main menu, we got the movement, and it was all real easy and short code. And in the next one, I definitely want to start a UI for the player. I want to be able to name the player and save the name, and you know, I want the mana and health before we start adding enemies. So maybe we'll do that in the next one. But yeah, this one was pretty easy. I hope you enjoyed it and it earned your subscription. And you should also hit that bell notification after you subscribe. That way you get notified when I put the next part out for this project. All right. And that's it for this one. So Uh, Hope you enjoyed it, and peace